All right, we're jamming. We're jamming. We are live, folks. This is an unscheduled but scheduled Friday live. This is not Friday live. This is just a live show where I wanted to update you. And most of you on LinkedIn, if you're looking at this on Facebook or how you call it, a YouTube or any other parade deck, this is scheduled live because I wanted to share, and I have been sharing on LinkedIn, a journey that I went on with these two wonderful professionals. And there's some that are missing, but hopefully they can at least chime in as this continues. But I was on and was placed on and went on a health journey, right? This health journey is one of the most phenomenal I say impactful journeys that I've been on because it directly affects me. Now, I have been on other journeys that I've been participatory of, and it's always usually on the benefit of someone else. This one is centered around me. And so I wanted to share that. So this kind of serves like two things: an update to what I shared a couple of weeks ago in a video, and also to dive into what this looks like, taking control of your health. Now, I will present Dr.Z, Miriam. We have a peculiar history together, which is funny because you seldom come across someone you may have passed in a hospital P-way or a base P-way, right? And I'm talking about a base like a military base. So I was in the service. Miriam was down in Peru when I was a service member down in Peru on the same base at the same time. and we just don't know if we came across it, but we were on the same place, same place, same time. And it was amazing. Sophie, I met, and I'll introduce her as well. I met through this journey. She is my meditation wellness mind, making sure that everything is USA, right? But before we get into the journey, if anybody is watching us live, don't be afraid. Get on there in the comment section. I already see a couple of comments coming through. Shitty is with us. Stephanie, Nancy, thank you for joining us today. We love your presence, and we hope that today's live will be beneficial to you. But Miriam, Dr.Z, the head honcho here running this thing. I want to give you an opportunity, talk about yourself, and then pass it on to Sophie, and we'll get started.
I cannot be more honored and amazed and happy to be here. And I am so grateful that you decided to share your story with others, because this is a big part of what I want to do, what Sophie wants to do, and all the team. We really want to help people. We really want to inspire others to go for their well-being, to go for their health. And what you are doing is amazing, because you are showing, right, this outside of the environment of a clinic or outside. You are showing a Latin guy, right, a successful person that is able to learn about himself, to achieve well-being, and to feel proud of that. And I am very proud of you. You are doing amazing. I'm so happy to have you as my patient.
No, and I'll tell you that you never know where life is going to help you cross path. Now, I mentioned earlier, right? We may have crossed path going from one side of the base to the other. Yes. It could have been at any junction, but we ended up meeting on LinkedIn. And so LinkedIn was a great vehicle there. But before we get down this road, Sophie, right? You are part of this team. You are part of my care plan, right? Yeah. So let's hear a little bit about you.
Well, it's so interesting hearing, your story of like maybe cross paths or some sort of synchronicity before you even knew it. I wouldn't say it was like exactly so. I wasn't in Peru with Miriam, but I was in a book program with Miriam. We were both writing a book, and I remember, so there was like this spreadsheet of all of the authors in our cohort, and I remember looking down, and when I saw Miriam's little description for her book, I was like, this. And I'd like to think that it was like that intuitive pull, the very same one that led me to writing my book, The Intuition Experiment, that led me to also to meeting Miriam, who would later become such a supporter and champion of my book and like what I do. And so, yeah, it was kind of through that where we just kept talking. And then Miriam was like, hey, like, would you want to, join my team as a mindfulness, coach? And it just felt like the perfect opportunity because I'd been training at a monastery and developing my skills of mindfulness and bringing that into book form. But I actually wanted to start bringing that into one-on-one interaction. So it was just this incredible synchronicity, both meeting Miriam, becoming her friend, and then later on having this wonderful opportunity to be, in this role and having this opportunity to bring mindfulness to more people. Yeah.
And it has been a blessing. I tell you that. So we all cross paths in this journey, right? This particular journey, right? And there's others that are missing. Michelle, nutritionist, right? She's the one making sure that my meal's looking right. And we'll get into what that looks like, as a Puerto Rican, because we need some specific stuff that was not on there. But I tell you, so Miriam, go ahead. You look like you want to share something.
Yeah, no, I see you laughing right through all this process, and I believe that that's the image, right, that we need to share, that being or going to a doctor or being part of a journey of getting to be healthier and happier and having well-being should not be a torture. And we have been kind of being afraid of visiting a doctor or going to a nutritionist and using the word diet or exercise as something that brings trauma, right? It's something negative. It cannot happen to me. And actually seeing you laughing and enjoying this is so, it's amazing, because that's exactly what we want to offer. We want to offer an opportunity to do this with happiness, with joy, and without the trauma and the stress. We are trying to remove the stress so you can achieve your better version of yourself, not only in your weight or in the level of your cholesterol, but really in your complete life. And that's why Sophie brings this amazing aspect of the holistic approach, right? Where we are seeing you not like a laboratory result or a blood pressure level or bones or livers. You are a human being. You have a family, you have feelings, you have culture, and we cannot ignore that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Sophie, any from your side?
Yeah, I mean, what Miriam brings up is such a good point. I think part of the reason why I believe so strongly in this model is that it's not just a binary approach. It's not just like you either take care of your health or you take care of your mindfulness. It reminds me of that quote of, it takes a village to raise a child. And of course, like, you're not a child, but it, in some ways, in affecting some sort of transformation, we like to think of that quote in terms of a child transforming and developing, but you can apply that to anything, right? Going through the book journey, it takes a village. Again, going through a health journey, it takes a village. And so what I see as really impactful and valuable about this system that we're creating is knowing that each person has a different skill set and a different angle and navigation toward health, so that it's almost like a village of care rather than just a singular kind of angle coming at it and then severing off kind of your wholeness or your whole health. And so I love to be a part of that multidisciplinary village, so to speak. Yeah.
And it's powerful and it's impactful, because what it does is it focuses on the individual needs in each realm. And sometimes, so if I got some, mental issue, let's just say, right? That's not needing medical like pills or anything like that, right? Just stress, anxiety, the times, my community, all these things start piling up on you, right? And so if I go to the doctor, like, I go to the VA, right? So I go to the VA and I say, hey, I'm having some problems. I got to go see my primary care first. And it's not okay. So if they don't refer me somewhere else, that's it. And sometimes some of my needs end at the primary care level, and they don't dig down deep enough. And what this does is says, okay, this actually exists in you. Let's address that with this professional that can actually bring you to where you need to be, and do it safely, right? Do it soundly, do it in a way where you feel you retain control of the whole outcome. And that's what I love the most. And for those that are just coming in, and I see Paul came in, brother, thank you for being with us tonight. That's my Hawaii brother there. So for those that are joining us now or are wondering, hey, how are you the focal point here, Enrique, of this whole process? Well, I mentioned Miriam and I have met on LinkedIn. She was exploring developing this particular model with this group of professionals that she had on board. And as soon as she explained to me what she was trying to do, I said, I got to be your first client. I got to be your first patient. That's just it. Because I am a product of the military medicine, because I served so long. So I have not really seen out. Matter of fact, I haven't seen anybody outside of military medicine because I'm now seeing the VA, right? So um, there are some things that military medicine does well, and I think they provide a lot of personal attention. If you ask me, right? I've spoken to civilians, people that are not in the military, and they don't seem to have the same view as their doctors, as I have of the medical medicine that I was a part of. And so I'm appreciative of that. I think they maybe they have more time. I don't know what it was, but it was good. But what I noticed is that no amount, no one during that whole care that I thought was good ever educated me. It was always, this is your diagnosis, these are the pills you take. And I'm like, but I don't want to take those pills. Did you see the side effect? It says here, right here, that I might bleed the areas that I don't want to bleed through, right? What is it that you get? But there was no explanation. There was no, hey, you came in, this is your ticket, here you go get your medicine. And so that system creates dependencies. I mean, and so thankfully, I was healthy enough that I did not have to do that. So I never did. Now there was some medicine that I did take. So as soon as I heard, hey, this is the model I want to do, this is the type of care I want to do, I was like, sign me up. And so, and for those that are leaders out there, okay, so this is my plug to leaders right now. There's a lot of forms of leadership, but there's only one true leadership, and that's by example. You can add whatever kind of methodology you want to practice leadership in. If you're not setting that example, then you're not leading, right? And so health was an area that I wanted to lead in because I have children. I shared with these two wonderful ladies that in my household right now, it's chaos. It is chaos. Dementia, heart attack, COVID, all at once, right? And so my wife and Sophie knows, right? She was like, "Wait, what do you want to go down this wellness?" I was like, "I need it for my wife. I need it for my wife. we just brought my mother-in-law. She's got dementia. She's gonna be spent. And then lo and behold, 2 days ago, her father ends in a hospital with a mild heart attack and COVID. And then since she's the one that always rescuing, as now she has it, right? And so now everything is on lockdown in this house. Everybody's in their own section. Do not spread, right? So I wanted to own a piece, if not all, of the control on my health. Now, Miriam, this particular part, and for those just getting on, I'm on a health journey. Miriam is leading the charge. Sophie is helping me with mindfulness and meditation and things of that nature. We have another team member, Michelle. She's my nutritionist. She's going through making sure that everything is according to what I dictate, right? What my body dictates. But Miriam, you did one thing that I have never ever seen done nor heard of before, and that
Oh,
is you did a DNA thing, right? Tell us about that.
that was so cool, right? First of all, thank you so much for sharing what is going on around your life, right? And something that you mentioned is leadership is by example, right? And it's not only that you want to teach others or you want to be the example to be a good leader because you are taking care of your health, but if you are not well, if you as a leader, as a commander, right, in a big company or in a school as the director of the school or whatever is your role as a leader, right, as the president or I don't know, a governor, whatever. If you are not in good shape emotionally and physically, right, you will probably not be performing at the level that you are expected. And you may be, instead of helping and doing things right, you may be actually harming others. And we need to understand that the same way that we invest in looking well, right? Women doing their nails and their hair, or guys getting their beautiful cars, right? To look like a leader. This is not a question of looking like a leader, it's acting like a leader. And a leader has to be healthy and needs to be emotionally stable. Burnout is probably the best enemy of any good leader and their teams, right? And burnout is part of chronic stress. And you could be a victim of that just with all the things that are happening right now in your life. And you decided to escape burnout, escape chronic stress, escape disease, and do the right thing for you, for your family, and for those that follow you. So I want to give you credit for that. The DNA test. So the DNA is not new, right? We have been using DNA testing for a long time, initially to identify changes or abnormalities or defects for people that will come to the world with deficiencies, right? Or things that are hereditary. But right now, there is so much information that we can even describe certain characteristics that could be as detailed as the ones that we review together, right? That talk about your specific metabolism, the things that may increase your risk of being obese or high cardiovascular disease or absorb or not certain nutrients, and give us information also about exercise, that you respond to exercise, etc. And we can go deeper and deeper depending what we need. Right now, for example, we have the way to evaluate the pharmacogenetics, the way that you will respond to certain medications. And in case, for example, of people that has depression, anxiety, and they need medication for these reasons, we can select the best group of medications instead of being trying one and other and failing again and again. So it's modern, relatively modern. It has been there, has been kind of a VIP thing, but right now it's available. And what I want to say about this is, and just to as a disclosure, right? In some way, I have been forced to have a clinic that is away from the healthcare system, meaning that does not necessarily takes insurance. Maybe you may send your information to the insurance and get reimbursed, but not directly, in order to be able to do the things that I am doing. You were saying you receive amazing care at the VA. I love the VA. I train at the VA. I have the respect. But what happened in the private clinics or the other clinics, right? It's not that doctors don't know what they are doing or they don't want to do what is correct. They know and they want to. They sadly don't have the time. When you have appointments that are selected in 15 minutes, it's very hard to educate someone. It's very hard to do something more than just put a band-aid or give a pill and give you an order. Go have diet, exercise, come in 3 months with your results. So I don't want to create this idea that doctors are not doing the right things or other of my colleagues are not doing the right things. It's just that sadly their hands are tied. And that's the reason why I escaped the healthcare system, the traditional healthcare system. I opened this clinic with amazing people joining me so we can be independent and we can take decisions based on what is priority for the patient, not what is priority for the insurance or for the person that is doing the billing.
Yeah, and what's amazing about it. So as I am, and you, it may not be new, but I ain't never been VIP at the health clinic. So this is new.
Every patient is VIP for me. I learned that anyone that comes in front of me doesn't matter, who he or she is, how much money they have, how they look. Everyone is VIP for me. That has been my rule number one since ever.
Well, that's why I'm VIP now, right?
You are. Absolutely.
before you, that's what I'm saying. No one ever said, "Hey, Enrique, go ahead and take this blood work. We're gonna look at your DNA and see what your DNA says about you and how your health is gonna go, right? Or do you have a particular marker that's gonna say you eating candy all the time, right?" you called it the sweet tooth, right? The sweet tooth marker. There's stuff about us in our DNA that tells us more than just where we came from and who we came from. Our DNA is actually a story about how we can be or who we're gonna be. And so that particular part of this journey, I thought it just blew my mind. Because then you came out and say, okay, so we also going to do a blood work, a panel, that panel is going to tell me where you are right now. And then lo and behold, we put these two things side by side and they match.
They match.
Right? So that sweet tooth marker, it's showing up on my glucose, right?
May I tell the story of the sweet tooth?
Go ahead.
So this is very funny, actually. So I received your results, and I am in front of the sweet tooth information, and I am trying to remember if you mentioned something about eating sweets, and it came to my mind that actually you said, no, I don't eat sweets. So now I am very nervous saying like, oh my gosh, maybe this result is not so good, right? And I meet with you and I am doing the interview and I don't like sweets, I don't eat sweets, I don't like, and I'm still trying to find out how I explain to him that the result is absolutely wrong, right? Because so finally, it came to the fruit, right? And
yeah,
he confessed, right? I don't eat nothing sweet. I actually eat very healthy. I eat fruits. And I start laughing with such a relief, right? Because I am like, okay, fruits are sweet. And he eats fruits instead of the donuts, but he eats like in a massive way, right? And that's how we match it. And I was like almost dancing in my chair, like, thank God.
Now, don't get me wrong. Don't make me drive by Krispy Kreme because I'm getting a dozen glazed, right? I'm gonna, but typically part of my diet is not straight sweets. Now we do have family movie nights at my house, and don't put a box of Raisinets in front of me because it's gonna be gone, right? But on a normal day to day, I'm like fruit all over. Fruit. Matter of fact, to the point And my daughter, if she ever hears that, she's gonna laugh because she knows. She says, "You're a fruit whore." I'm like, "What? What is that? You just eating fruit left and right?" I was like, "What in the world?" But and lo and behold, here my my glucose is up there, and I'm like, "Why?" Well, guess what? An excessive eating of fruit and the way your DNA is, you're gonna mess up, right? So that was one area that was enlightening as well. But like I said, tied to that back to that DNA mark and things like that. Folks, there's so much about us that we just don't know. And sometimes we try to fix it with some remedies or things we see on Instagram, right? You say, "Oh, they try this, try that." Well, sometimes what you try, you don't see results because you're genetically predisposed to some things. And so you gotta treat you personally, and that's what I love about this. So, Sophie, I know you've been there, cracking up, laughing, waiting your turn here. So let's get you on there because after I got through that episode and that debrief about my test, and folks, I had several tests. I got the DNA test, I got the blood work at your normal labs. I did a gut check type of deal. Hey, that's a process, right? But and there's other things that came about. I think I did like 4 or 5 tests that were sent off to labs, very professional, let me tell you, and everything's come back in a way that I was happy. I got to monitor it all through apps and things of that nature. So I fell in touch and I felt real connected. Now, Sophie, on the mental side, right? I'll say mental side. I don't mean that in a kind of weird way, but wellness, right? The well-being, the meditation, and things like that. And so there's a question: do you do testing of my? Yep,
Yes,
that's
that's exactly
what it
the
was.
one.
Yeah, that's what it was. And they're about to address that. So we got into a conversation, and I loved your initial session because it was really like a blind date almost, right? Let's get to know each other here. Going back and forth, so what about this and what about that? And um yeah, and I got it right in front of me, right? And then I'm gonna show it. Let me see where it's at. Because I got some pictures in here. Yeah, she's like, I want you to draw. I want you to draw something.
Let's
So,
do our
and
class.
I won't get too much into it because I want you to be more of a client than than get all the goodies. But as we're going through this conversation about where I am, where are you? What are you normally practice? Do you do this? Do you do that? There's a lot of things that I did do. I go out to ground with my daughter. There's I pray and read every day. So there's a lot of areas that I have touch points for wellness, right? Overall wellness, right? And so, but the drawing part was just not crazy. It was just it it opened up my eyes to even in my mind what I'm predisposed to, right? You say, "Hey, I want you to draw this. What does that look like?" And I'm like, "I got trees, I got birds, I got clouds. It looks like like I'm over there by Mount Rainier, right? And just peaceful, quiet." And then you say, "Okay, let's talk about draw me something about what chaos looks like." And I'm like, volcano, right? I drew a volcano and the rocks and just lava everywhere. And sometimes in life, we're gonna get both of those, right?
Yeah.
And but you talked about the release, and that's one part that I want to allow you to talk about. I grounded, and it was more like I knew it was some energy transfer there, right? There was something going on. I didn't know what it was really, but I know that I'm like got electricity in me, and sometimes I'm supercharged, and hey, drop it back in the ground. Um, but you led me through that exercise about who's there. And I was like, hey, Jesus there. I don't want nobody else. Right. But walk us through why you did that.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the microbiome and how much information that it stores. Like it has 95% of serotonin that gets produced there. And it's like 100 billion, I think, neurons lining the gut wall. There's so much information that is connected to the mind, right? Through the vagus nerve. And so that's one area in which we can tap into that information through microbiome testing. But another way that we can actually understand and tap into the pulse of the inner ecosystem is through the mind. And something that is really interesting about tapping into the mind in that way is through art. Art can give us a direct access into our subconscious, or what some people might refer to as the soul or the higher self. So it can give us access to information that we might not be consciously aware of and can't give conscious story to. So me just asking you, oh, well, what does chaos feel like to you? You might go into story. But if I ask you to draw, what does chaos feel like to you? You might give me a drawing that might give me completely different information than if you had just given me a story about the chaos.
Right.
And so it's, I like to use a holistic approach in how to understand the mind. Like I'm not really interested in this like mindfulness approach of like one size fits all. I want to know you as a person. And I want to know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. How is your mind? Like, what is your inner mental state like? And how can we kind of both come into that self-awareness around that, and then see what opportunity there is to mine that information through art, through reflection, through what we did as like a grounding practice. Mm-hmm. And, oftentimes the term energy can seem really woo-woo to people. But, in elementary school, they have you take this like energy stick, and you're supposed to put the energy stick on both sides of your hands. And if the concept basically is that you run energy through your body, and so that closed circuit loop creates the light bulb, like the light that comes through the stick. And if you take one hand off, that light, it doesn't shine anymore because the energy circuit is not closed. And so you can see directly that you are an energetic being. You run energy through you. I mean, we're 60% water. Water is a conductor of electricity. Mm-hmm. And so knowing that about our bodies and how that plays a role in our health, it is all interconnected. And so it's just so interesting how like seemingly like an art drawing could be connected to your version of chaos, which could be connected to how you reach for sugar. Like I want something to soothe the chaos, right? And so then we're starting to see, okay, gut microbiome level here, but then also like maybe there's a reason why your body is like searching for that sugar in the first place. And can we build that self-awareness around it? So the ability to tap into multiple channels of information through the body, not just through these testings, but also through mindfulness, through these art exercises, through the coaching that we do, can give us completely, I wouldn't say different information, but information that helps us see the bigger picture.
Right. And that's really what's going on. The bigger picture is usually not seen. And we try to do little blocks of I would say attempts at getting healthy. They don't last long. When we came on, Miriam was like, "Did you lose weight?" I was like, "Yeah, I lost quite a bit actually since we started." Right, I was almost in 194. I think it was that I was peaked at, I believe, and I'm at 178. Right, so that's quite a bit of a loss, right?
And so, you don't look traumatized. We are not causing any damage on you. We are not giving you medication, right? At this point, you are not taking any pills. You didn't receive any any injection, those that are, now being given like candies. And I love what Sophie said, right? This multidisciplinary approach where, as a human, there are aspects of your body that we can target with medication or with vitamins or with exercise. But if you are eating because you are anxious, right, and that's the reason of your obesity or your cardiovascular disease, right, or you have insomnia or have depression because you are not able to cope appropriately, and I apologize for my coping here.
Oh, no, you're good.
I'm trying to cope with my kids being here. uh, if that is happening, there is no medication that will save your life or that will cure you, right? We need to give you the skills so you can cope, that you can develop a new tool to be able to confront life in a healthy way. So we can remove pills or maybe not even start them. And with that, reduce costs, reduce side effects, reduce polypharmacy, so many things. I love medications because I am a doctor. Of course, I love it. I know that there are in some cases where we need them and there is no discussion. But that doesn't have to be the only way. There are so many ways that we can use to help someone so we have long-term good results.
And you mentioned the different pieces. So nutrition, Michelle's not here, but I'll just do a real recap of what I've been going through personally in terms of the that nutrition part. I was able to log on to a site. This particular site has my menus. It gives me an ability. Don't know if that's a future thing, but I have the ability to plug and play, right? And at first, it was just making sure that there were no inflammation type of issues, right? So I got into it, looked at it. I'll tell you right now, and Miriam knows. I was like, "Hey, Miriam, is there a way that we could get this like the Puerto Rican version?" because because last time I ate cauliflower was never. I'm just saying.
You don't
But,
like the cauliflower.
but there's a cuisine. There's a cuisine that I gravitate around, and it's usually rice, beans, pork, and whatever. We'll throw a salad in there just to feel good about ourselves, right? But there's particulars, right? That would be a thing for the future. But then once I got all my results and everything was marked and said, okay, this is where you are, this is what you do, boom, 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 that menu switched. It switched to target the results. And what I loved about that is that it answered the mail. The mail came in, and the nutritionist answered the mail by appropriating things that were for me, right? My results. And what I see most of the time is that when folks go out to an external way of doing this, they get canned things. Now, I don't know if one of these companies that does these nutrition type of services asks for a blood test. I never had to go to one, right? But the fact that I'm getting it because of my blood work and the way that I am made up, it's reassuring to me that the mail is being answered, and it's not a general mailbox. It's Enrique's mailbox. And so that's what I loved about it. I'll let you two in one way or shape or form talk about the nutrition piece. So I'll hand that over to you.
Yes, the diet, I like to call it more than diet because diet has this negative connotation, right? But the nutritional plan is made for you. It's based on the information that we provide to Michelle, so she helped us to create that. And in general, everything is done like that. When I call Sophie, I inform her what are our goals, right? Because the first part of our conversation, what is your goal? What do you want to achieve? Doesn't matter necessarily what I want to achieve, is what do you want to achieve? And I believe that the role that you have, Enrique, is so important, right? Because, and you mentioned, I receive information, I can track everything, and it's true. That is exactly what we are trying to do. Is we are empowering you, we are giving you enough information, and we are giving you the knowledge and the ability to be on top of things, so you learn how to graduate from the clinic. I mean, we would love to have you forever, but that's not the plan, right? I'm sorry again.
No, you're good. You're good.
This is normal life, right? But what is important is that you will be able to graduate from the clinic and be able to continue this in long term. The big problem that we see with programs in general, right, and with long-term conditions is that since you don't give the education and you don't empower the patient cannot function at the moment that they are, finished with the program. That's absolutely an error, because you have to live with yourself. We cannot move to your house. Your wife will kick us out. So, right? You have to learn. You have to drive this boat, this car that is your own life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And also then a little bit of depending on, what client we work with, it's really important to also address the intuitive eating aspect of this, of sometimes just being aware of how a food impacts your body, using mindfulness practice to actually ground into the body and notice on a physical sensation level what is happening when I ingest this food, or what is happening even before I ingest the food. Do I have a mental craving, and does that match actually my physical sensation of hunger? So really starting to tune into and developing the skills to really be aware of before we eat the food, during we eat the food, savoring it, and then after we eat the food can make the whole experience of even just, eating more enjoyable and give us even more information than just a simple, this is what you need to eat for your health plan.
You mentioned that. And I'm a little convicted over here because the other day I was with my son, and we hardly ever get any time together in terms of dedicated time. So I know he likes BurgerFi. Now, have anybody been to BurgerFi? They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
That's a good time.
We advertisement right now.
Yeah.
Except that Enrique loves throwing bacon on it. So it was almost like and there's this old saying, hey, how do you get to the heart of a man? Through his stomach, right? And so there goes two guys going to eat, and they're about to throw down these burgers. But you mentioned something, Sophie, that just kind of keyed me into that. Sometimes we have cultures around how we eat.
Yeah.
That was one example, right? Me spending time with my son gravitated us to BurgerFi, right? No, and I'm telling you right now, I went to bite, and I bit, and I started to chew, and the first thing that I thought of, bro, what are you putting in you? What are you putting in you? Don't you know your LDL's up there? Well, you see,
self-awareness.
Yeah,
and that's interesting, right?
Yeah, I think what's so interesting is the aspect that you can even notice your relationship and your association to how you eat. So this is not a health paradigm where we're trying to shame you. It's right. If you want to eat the burger,
I sure did.
Savor it with mindfulness, right. And if you notice that it impacts you in a negative way, then you've built that self-awareness to see, seems like when I eat this burger, this really impacts me and it actually affects my quality of life. So then you have the ability to discern what would be the best for me if I was kind of like my best friend, kind of like a loving choice rather than like shaming ourselves into not eating it because we shouldn't. And that's part of the practice of mindfulness, is understanding what stories that we have coming up for us are shaming stories and are just based in the mind, and what is coming up for us that's simply just like, you know what, I think I'm going to enjoy this burger right now. I haven't had a burger in a month. I'm going to enjoy this quality connection with my family member. And so with mindfulness, you can kind of make that discernment.
And that is so important, Sophie, what you said, right? Because number one, we should not be like, no this, no way, no, right? That doesn't last forever. that these criminal diets that you follow for 1 week or two, and then you go run into the refrigerator to get everything that someone told you not to eat, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing is to do things with moderation, with some balance, right? And if someday you want to go for the burger, go and enjoy it. I mean, you lost weight even with the burger, right? And probably many other things. So it's not something that is so criminal that you did it. You enjoy it. Great for you. Enjoy it. But it's just the idea that you develop this self-awareness so you can identify and you can give yourself a break. Today I will do it. I will enjoy it, but this is not my daily, food. And the second thing that you were saying, Sophie, so interesting also about mindfulness, right? How many times we eat in front of the computer, and I am guilty number one in this one, and I am so concentrated in what I am doing that suddenly my plate is empty and I don't know what happened with the food because, I mean, someone ate it. I don't even remember that was coming into my mouth and in my body. And big part of the sensation of satiety, right, that I am full, comes with this idea of feeling the taste, seeing that the food is coming right into your body, feeling all the process. So for many of these individuals that have problems with nutrition or weight gain, right, big part may be just solved with the idea of eat in a mindfulness way. Make sure that you know that you are eating, right? That the food should not disappear in front of you while you are doing other things. So, and little things, and again, I will repeat this. Not always is necessary to get a medication. Sometimes it is, but not always. And this should not be a traumatic event. You have been going through this, and kind of the question is always, it's like you are not feeling torture, right? Nobody is killing you in this process, right? Should be a good thing. Should be something that you can say 2 years later, 5 years later, I changed my lifestyle for better. Not that you went through punishment.
Right. Yeah, and I think people also underestimate the value of just doing something really small, repeated. Mm-hmm. Because anything that you do, big or small, if you repeat it enough times, that gets to the layer of the subconscious. So it could literally just be 2 minutes a day of mindfulness. But if you repeat that every single day versus I'm going to like set out to do like an hour of meditation because I want to be this kind of person, then we might be kind of coming at it from a sense of self-criticism or lack. And then we notice that. It's like, oh, I'm noticing that is something that's like really important to me. But yeah, bringing in the aspect that like a lot of us think that we need like to like just go for it and like, punish ourselves to be healthy. And I think what Miriam and I and like all of us on the team are saying is like, no, you don't need that. You don't need to punish yourself. You don't need to criticize yourself. Developing a mindfulness practice of understanding if that's starting to happen and making just a very small different choice is all you need, really.
Yeah, and when I was saying that, it was more like, hey, don't we have priorities here, brother? Like, are we working on something? Right? It's like, where, somebody's not falling off the train here. And so I was just trying to remind myself that we was on a journey, right? Hey, we're on a journey. We ain't got there yet. And here you is throwing some burgers in your mouth, right? But
Enrique, you are there. So
Mhm.
and that's another concept that I believe is so important, right? We need to give ourselves credit for the little steps. We need to enjoy the journey, and each day is a day that you won.
Right.
Each day is a day that you achieve something new, right? That you conquer your challenges, your fears, whatever is in front of you. And we need to be able to say, great job for today. Tomorrow will be another, and I will fight tomorrow my next day.
Mhm.
But today I did it. Because when we are self-compassionate, right? That Sophie was saying, when we love ourselves, the same that we will love others, right? We are very kind with others, we are very mean with ourselves. But when we are kind with ourselves and we are grateful and we say good job, that serves as a motivation for the next day. And that gives us the confidence that we can do it. And if we fail, and we will fail, right? That is part of life. That is okay. Being aware of that and saying, okay, I am a human. I'm not supposed to be perfect. Today was a bad day. Today something happened and I ran into the refrigerator and I got the ice cream. Okay, that was today. Tomorrow will be another day, and I will try again tomorrow, and I will do it right tomorrow. The end. No,
Yeah.
nothing more than that. It
Yeah.
should be simple.
It's definitely just a lifestyle change, but it does not have to be drastic, folks. I mean, I shared that just to show you that sometimes our environments are set up
Mhm.
not to help us.
Mhm.
That's really where I was going with that. It was because for the sake of getting together, we could have went to Jamba Juice, right, and still had that time, and just there goes some sweets, right? But the thing is that sometimes in our cultures, things gravitate around settings that don't set us up for success, especially on the health side. And so, everybody that's listening, I'm on a health journey with Dr. Miriam here, Dr. Z, also Sophie and Michelle, and some others that are helping me get to where I want to be as an executive, as a person that does coaching myself and leadership development, looking for leading in my health because I feel that as a leader, I should be spearheading my life, right? And we may not know everything about this that needs to be known, but we do know ourselves. And if there's any example that we should be setting, is the one that we set with our life. So if you're a leader, you want to take control, and I'm going to give this opportunity because we're about 8 minutes out. This thing's going to go fast, right? So, Miriam, we'll start with you. Tell us about the practice. Tell us about, where you want people to go. Sophie is part of the team. I'll let her talk about her book here in a second and all that she provides on her side. But tell us about that.
So the practice right now is open for all Florida. Soon we will have at least 4 more places on the States, and we can be found at www.virtualwellbeingmd.com. And through me, I extend this to all the team. When you find me, you find the complete team. We work together in this journey. And before we finish, and just to say something extra, Enrique, thank you so much for doing this, because you put yourself in a very vulnerable situation. You offered this, and I was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure?" And you told me, "Yes, I'm doing this." And I want to thank you for that, because you put yourself in a very vulnerable situation in order to help others, and that's what you told me. I want to help others. I want to save others' lives. I want to set a precedent, and I applaud you for that. You are really changing the life of others, and you are impacting the life of others in a positive way. So thank you so much for doing this.
You're very welcome. All right, Sophie. So talk to us about that book. Tell us what your practice is about, where they can reach you.
Yeah. So essentially, I wrote this book called The Intuition Experiment, which really came out of not trusting my intuition for so long and seeing actually the direct impact on my heart, mind, body, spirit of the consequences of that. And I spent about a year practicing at a Buddhist monastery. I ordained as a Buddhist nun, and through that time, I grounded down into mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the breath, mindfulness of thoughts, emotions, and really seeing myself more clearly in that way allowed me to really start in this journey of what does it look like to be in alignment with my truth moment to moment. And so I actually started just writing these journal entries, which were really kind of like meditations of meditating on the object that I was, this laboratory called Sophie, and just writing. And so that turned into what is now the intuition experiment, where I go into what does it look like to live a life aligned. And so I've been starting to bring that out into one-on-one, coaching opportunities with people and working through Miriam. So when Miriam gets someone, then we collaborate and we see if it's a good fit for me to provide some mindfulness sessions. But yeah, apart from that, I do one-on-one coaching. I call it kind of intuitive mindfulness. So if you're looking to kind of develop a deeper connection with your body and your intuition, I invite you to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I am also on Instagram. Those are the places that I most like to be. My username is Flow Into It, like intuition. And yeah, if you're curious about what I do, send me a message. I'd love to chat.
Outstanding. Well, folks, we're going to make sure that those links make it to the comment section so that you can go ahead and connect with them. But they are on LinkedIn. You can connect with them directly there and see if you want to go down this road. I am taking my health in control so that I could last as long as I can for my family, right? And for myself and my family. But there may be some of you that are looking to say, you know what, the normal day-to-day medical thing, it does fulfill a need and a place in my life, but I want to know a little more. I want to be able to be educated enough to say, hey, this is what my body requires. And so you can take that into account and go down your own journey. So if you're looking for something like that, reach out to these two wonderful professionals. Michelle, we'll make sure to get Michelle's information on there and give her some love as well. We got fans of you are amazing, Judy. Thank you. And so that is all, folks. I just wanted to let folks know that this journey is well worth it, and I'll just leave it at that. It's well worth it. It's well worth your investment. I know Dr. Z mentioned earlier this is a out of insurance type of a journey, right? But so is a car, and so you pay 20, 30, 40,000 for a car, and that thing will break down the road. What about you? Right. So just take that as a food for thought. Which one is more important and which should live longer? But thank you all for being with us today, this evening on a Thursday impromptu, although we did schedule it. Miriam, Dr. Z, Sophie, Michelle, thank you so much for going along this journey with me and helping me get to where I need to be in life. We really do appreciate all that you do, and hopefully from this cast you can get some more participants in your program. But folks, if you want to lead first at home. All right, folks, we'll see you, and we will get you caught up later on. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.